There are three stones every believer must carry in the journey of life. But if you must succeed in the discharge of your kingdom duties, if you must succeed as a parent to children, as a brother to your siblings, a sister to your siblings, or as a child to your parents, look at me. These three stones are a must carry for every Christian. He says, and the king commanded, which means that these stones are not optional, sir. It's a command. They are not a suggestion. They are not negotiable. It's a commandment and they must be obeyed. Why are these three stones necessary? He says to lay the foundation of the house. Life and its final outcome is about foundations. Psalms 11 verse 3. It says, if the foundations of the house be what? Be destroyed, what can even the righteous man do? So foundations are important for any structure to stand. The depth of your foundation is what determines the height. What you give to a bungalow as foundation is not the same thing you give to what? A mansion as foundation. And what you give to a mansion as foundation is not the same foundation you give to a skyscraper. The depth determines the height. Show me a man's foundation, sir, and I will tell you how far the man will go. It's not rocket science. But there are three stones that are necessary if you must lay solid foundations from life, for business, for career, for relationship, for marriage, for ministry. These three stones are powerful. These three stones are non-negotiable. And the king commanded. And I am here to re-echo the command that the king has given to believers in this side of Zion about the three stones that we must carry. Number one stone every child of God must carry. The Bible says the king commanded, and number one, they brought great stones. Number one, they are called great stones. Great in terms of size. Great because they will require strength. They will require might to carry them. The Hebrew word for the word great there is the word gadol, gadol. Gadol, gadol means that you require strength. Ministry is not for lazy people. Business is not for people who are lackadaisical. Marriage is not for people who are laid back. It is hard work. Ministry is failing because people don't know what it means to gadol, gadol. Shout for me, great stones. Number one stone everybody must carry. And my prayer for you today is that God will empower you to carry these stones. When I look at Papa Yorikpo, that man that God has helped, still walking around the clock, I'm wondering what we are talking about in our time. Look at Daddy Abdeboye in his 80s, still taking his prayer walks and not stopping. They are telling him to rest and the man is still walking. Because I must walk the works of him that sent me while it is day. And then we have a bunch of people who cannot walk. Look at me. If you must lay foundations not just for your generation now, but for times and generations to come, you must know what it means to carry great stones. Help me shout great stones. That's number one. That you will come to God. You will walk with strength. Number two, ladies and gentlemen, it says costly stones. Costly stones. From the word costly, it infers finance. The Hebrew word for the word costly there is the word yakar. Y-A-Q-A-R. Yakar. Which means something valuable, something prized, something rare, something precious. Look at me. No one can succeed in the journey of life without money. The second stone you must carry is called yakar. To lay foundations for the future, you must have financial intelligence. You must know what it means, look at me, to know how to manage resources. You must be a carrier of what? Of costly stones. Look at my face. There are people, maybe by age, whether old or small, that may not be able to have the physical strength to do what? To carry what? To carry great stones. But their money can carry it. Your money can sponsor missions. Your money can send us for crusades. Am I talking to anybody here? Ministry is not. Why do people think that every other thing requires money? But the one place people don't want to hear money mentioned is in the church. Without prosperity, there cannot be proper propagation of the gospel. Ecclesiastes chapter 9 verse 13. The Bible tells the story of a poor wise man in a small town. And the Bible talks about how a great king came and did what? Besieged the city. No one went in, no one went out. And the Bible says that that little poor man, through his wisdom, did what? Delivered the city. And yet his wisdom was despised. And I love what the Bible says, I think in verse 15 or so. In verse 15. That nobody remembered. He says, now there was found in it a poor wise man. And he, by his wisdom, delivered the city. Yet no man remembered that same poor man. Look at verse 16, the next verse. No one remembered him, then said, wisdom is better than strength. Nevertheless, the poor man's wisdom is despised, and his words are not heard, his voice is not heard. There are authors that will never be heard because they don't have costly stones. The greatest of preachers are not the ones on TVN right now or ACBN. It's people that don't have the wherewithal to go. There are books that will not be published, not because they don't carry volumes of revelations, but because they lack money. Look at me, sir. The devil is not your problem. Some of you here, what you need is to have the right finances, the right kind of funding, provision for the vision. Am I talking to anybody here? Number 3 stone every believer must carry. The Bible calls it huge stones. Huge stones here is gazith. It's Gaziyth. Gazith. Gaziyth. Gazith. Gazith means, look at me, it means something already carved, something already cut, a dressed stone. They are not coming to carve it at the site. They've already carved it in the quarry. Carved to shape, carved to fit in. So when they bring it, it fits into the mold, or the mold where it's supposed to enter. Please give me your attention for 1 second. Look at me. The third stone every believer must carry to make a mark and a difference, to leave our footprints upon the sand dunes of time. Look at me. The third stone is called gazith. Gazith means that you must bring your expertise to bear. There are lots of professionals out there whose professional inputs are not being felt in this side of Zion. If you are a bricklayer, how has that impacted on the kingdom? If you are a tiler, how has that impacted upon the kingdom? If you are a chef, how has that impacted upon the kingdom? If you are an editor, how has that impacted upon the church? If you are an auditor, how has that impacted upon the church? What services are you rendering? People are a blessing in the civil society. People are a blessing to the generation. But that part of their lives are not being felt in the church. 3 stones you must carry. Every tongue-talking believer, everyone whose names are written in the Lamb's book of life, everyone bought by the blood, washed by the blood. Look at me. If you must impact your generation, 3 stones you must carry. If you must change the narrative, 3 stones you must carry. If you must be useful to God, 3 stones you must carry. Number 1 is what? Great stones, which is gadol. It requires your strength. Number 2 is what? Yakar. Costly stones. Your money is needed. Number 3 is what? Gazith. Huge stones, which means your expertise is needed. I close by saying, what can you do? How can you be an events planner in the city where you are, and you are doing so many powerful events, and you are in a church, and the church is having a program, and we're not seeing glimpses or pictures of gazith? That you can do that. Am I talking to anybody here?